Hello, Bengals fans, and welcome to this special edition Rookie Report Chalk Talk crossover. I am Matt Minich. Joining me today, John Sheeran. John, how you doing?
I'm great. This is the first time that we've done something like this, and I got to say it's a little bit overdue. But credit to Matt for bringing up this idea of just combining two content, just two pieces of content on Cincy Jungle for a special bi-week midseason report.
Yeah, definitely need to do more of this collaboration stuff. So always good to have more eyes on the film, more people, and kind of getting more opinions and stuff. So my cat already makes his first appearance of the night. So everybody very excited about the show today. So we're gonna get into the rookies today, and really 6 of the 7 Bengals draftees we're gonna talk about is 7th round pick Marcus Bailey. Really hasn't seen much action. He's been inactive most of the time, so we'll avoid him for now. We'll just kind of touch base on him a little bit, but we are going to look at film clips of the rest of the Bengals draft class of 2020, and we're starting at the top with Joe Burrow. So John, if you want to comment on this first one.
This was in week 2 against the Browns, that Thursday night game, and it was one of the first plays of Burrow's time in Cincinnati. It just stood out to me as like, that's a guy that knows how to create and operate out of structure. It was a beautiful, perfect throw after stepping up in the pocket, rolling to his right, and working with a guy that a fellow rookie in T. Higgins, as Higgins works back to the sideline. There's connection, there's communication on that. And again, I don't think you can have a better throw on the run, avoiding pressure like that.
Yeah, obviously we're going to talk about Higgins in a little bit, but this is interesting too because it was early in the year, and it took a while to really see much of a connection with T, and T wasn't getting a ton of reps early on. It kind of took over for John Ross in this game actually, but it was good to see that, and now you see this a lot. Like T is the first guy really responding when Burrow's moving around in the pocket. So we'll go here to another connection between these two. We're probably gonna be seeing this for years to come. But you see, this time Burrow stands in the pocket, getting some pressure here, and releases a great ball. In a real tight window there. Pretty tight man coverage. They try and come underneath it. He's still able to deliver the ball in there. Oh, great connection here. Great pass. Real good accuracy. And again, not bailing out. Standing in the pocket. Didn't really get an opportunity to step into it at all.
Right.
Mostly upper body and just zips it in. And you can really appreciate it. I'll pause it here. I mean, look at that. That's not even a window.
Like Burrow had at least 3 throws from this game week 4 against the Jaguars where it was just perfect touch, perfect accuracy, and very tight windows. And that's the thing that stood out was that it may not seem like it, but like this is a great example of just arm talent. Where this is all arm. He's fading away from this throw, and it's put at the exact spot where it needs to be. Higgins is tightly covered, releasing out of the slot here. And this is just all trust and all arm for Burrow because he's in a somewhat collapsing pocket, and he just has to fade away and put this all on his arm, and it's literally the perfect throw.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, can't step into it, just zips it in there. I mean, I think it's perfect. That's a strike. That's what that is. So the next one we'll talk about here, this one got a ton of attention this week against the Titans. We'll let you take the lead here.
When I first watched this play over, a lot of people were saying how great it was. And I had to there had to be some form of luck here, right? On first watch, there's no way that these two planned this. It's too perfect, too miraculous of a connection. But I think there's some logic behind it. In Burrow's mind, he's thinking once he releases from that guy or separates, that's a back shoulder throw based off of that coverage and what ended up happening. But for a guy who's playing his 8th game in his career to have that innate sense and connection with a receiver like Boyd, it just speaks volumes to where he is at this point in his career. That ball is thrown at the exact moment with the exact velocity right where only Boyd can actually catch this. It's insane, and it deserved all the credit that it got for last week.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, you hit it right there. Perfect placement with this ball. Like Boyd can't adjust here. You know, he might not ever see this thing. He might have just caught it. You know, like it's just an instinct thing.
Like the ball caught him. The ball caught him.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, like it even turned him around and got him upfield too. Because there's no chance. I mean, if this thing's coming in over his head, he can't. He's not going to be able to put his hands up and adjust to that. It's probably a pick if he does that. I mean, that is an incredible throw, and the timing in the game, you know, where that happened too. Like that was a needed conversion. So that was absolutely huge. So we're gonna go to Higgins now, and like we're gonna be watching this connection for years to come. Higgins, like I think we all thought Boyd was going to be a huge connection, and it absolutely is. But man, these two really seem to have something, and I'm starting to see the AJ Green in T. Higgins over the last couple of weeks. So this is an incredible ball on the sideline here. You know, throws it to the back shoulder, which both these guys really made a living on in college, and just excellent hands. Uses his body to really shield himself from the defender. You know, you got Denzel Ward there is one of the best corners in the league, having a great year. Did a great job against AJ Green in the first matchup. And, you know, just the understanding, being able to use his body to make this catch is just awesome from T.
It's a lot of timing working into that. I mean, when you first saw that throw, that's like this is LSU tape. He threw this ball hundreds of times in LSU under Joe Brady. And it's great for them, like 7 games into it at this point of the season, to have that connection, because that's all about timing, where he is on the field, how far he is past the line of scrimmage, the fact that Burrow looked off the free safety initially when going from his left to his right, and then for Higgins to have that connection in the timing in his head about when he has to turn around, when he has to use that body and separate with his hands, and then have the spatial awareness to keep in bounds and get as many yards after the catch as possible. It was fantastic from him.
I mean, unless I'm missing something, unless they worked out together pre-draft or something, like the first time these two connected was in August. You know what I mean? Like the way they understand each other, the rapport they have, and there's a very small number of balls that Joe Burrow has actually thrown to this guy in his life at this point. I mean, that is crazy. All right, so we've got another Higgins play here if you want to talk about this one.
Like after the Browns game, I think Higgins was one of the guys that said that they need to do a better job of working with Burrow when he escapes the pocket and tries to find something down the field. Like I didn't actually see this play live, and I heard people talking about it, and it sounded a lot crazier. I didn't think it was as crazy as what I heard it was, but it ended up being like Higgins just works up the sideline, and he's watching the ball the entire time, and it's the spatial awareness again. It's the awareness of where he is on the field to make sure that he has enough space to get both feet in bounds and also catch the ball over that cornerback. It was a perfect throw, but it requires a monumental effort from him to actually bring it down. And his hands have been arguably the best attribute that he's had in his rookie year. And, you know, there's no issue at all with drops or anything like that. He's just a natural, pure hands catcher, just like he was in Clemson.
Yeah, and I mean, look, we're not talking about we're not talking about Joe Burrow right now, but this is another one where it's all arm. You know, just the way he's running, incredible pass here, putting it where only T can get it. And then, yeah, T had a very similar play that I think I actually talked about and did a video, put in a video I did about him after the draft from Trevor Lawrence. But trying to pause this up just right. I mean, that's another 85 for the Bengals right there. You know what I mean? Right. That is Ocho Cinco stuff right there. That is awesome.
Can we go back to where like the ball is like at its apex in the air? Because another thing, like
on the wide or the tight?
On the tight. Because I think that matters a lot for receivers, is especially when cornerbacks are looking back or trying to look back for the ball. Like the cornerbacks are using what they're seeing from the wide receiver in terms of when he's going up and trying to high point and getting his hands up. They're trying to use that to base when they should time their jump to play the ball. I think Higgins does a great job of waiting until the very last moment to actually make a play here, but that speaks to the athleticism that he has as an aerial receiver to get that much elevation at the catch point to bring this in while not selling it too early and giving the cornerback a chance to actually make a play on it.
Yeah, that thing is awesome. All right, and then also for Higgins here, same game. I mean, this guy's been doing some ridiculous stuff, and I kind of feel like every time you see something absurd, it's T. Higgins. But this is a great play here too. And once again, it's a broken play. This is the second play. He's running the fade up top of the sideline. He sees Burrow moving around, and he comes back. He gets into his field of vision. And look, he's going to take a shot here. This is a tight window throw. This is actually one of the lowest percentage throws of the week per Next Gen Stats. And he's got 3 guys around him. I mean, again, Burrow's pocket presence here is ridiculous. He's not bailing out. He stays in there. Keeps his eyes downfield.
Great reset.
I mean, there's 3 defenders right around him.
Mm-hmm. I mean that coverage pre-snap is middle field close. If you have just a single high safety in there, and when the play breaks down, like I think you can see the free safety cheating towards the boundary side or the near side of the field, and it's great for Higgins to become aware of like noticing that Burrow still has the ball, he's still looking downfield, but working back to where now there's a vacated part of that field towards between the 20 marker and in between the hashes. It's a great job of understanding where the soft spot in that zone is, and then Burrow to obviously see him.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I mean, I think any safety is going to see when you see the quarterback start to break the pocket one direction, you're gonna move over that way. It's a great awareness for Burrow to think I gotta come back the other direction there too. All right, that gets us to Logan Wilson, 3rd round pick for the Bengals. You want to talk about the first one here?
Yeah, so he's gonna kind of shift towards the weak side of the formation, and they're going to motion the tight end, but he's basically stacked on top of that tight end. And then he's just going to set the edge and just shed that tight end's block and just make a play. Just the acceleration towards the ball carrier, and then to actually wrap up on a running back in Kareem Hunt, who's known for breaking a lot of tackles and getting a lot of yards after contact. So a good job of maintaining his gap discipline, but also shedding that block and accelerating downhill.
Yeah, this is probably the best one of the year for him on the edge, but he's been doing that quite a bit. And I mean, really, you look at their usage last year, he's doing a lot of the same stuff that they were doing with Nick Vigil last year, but he's doing it obviously at a much higher level. So, I mean, it's exciting, his versatility, being able to play on the edge, play in the box, what he can do in the pass game. I mean, he's a really, really good fit for what they can do. And I mean, I fully expect him to get more and more time and probably take over for Bynes next year. This is just another kind of example on the edge, and really, the big thing here is the speed. The understanding the angle. He's got to keep running through this. You got to run through that stiff arm and not allow Lamar to escape there. Fortunately, the sideline was his friend, but I mean, just great job against an incredible athlete to contain this football.
I love not only the click and close because he's got to get to the edge and try to force it back to the spill player, which is Bynes here, but it's also keeping his pads square to the line of scrimmage so he can work off of the fullback's lead block and then use a long bar against him. But he still has the edge, so when Lamar's breaking towards the edge, he's got to get off and force the play back inside. And then he gets on the ground, but then he doesn't give up. He gets back up and forces Lamar out of bounds. So great effort play, but also great technique by him for his run fit.
Yeah, and you point that out. He's got the block here. Once he wants to get rid of it, he gets rid of it, and that's something that I think the Bengals have struggled quite a bit with defensively on the D line and the linebacker is getting off of blocks. Honestly, sometimes I look at their pass rush and I think, well, these guys, they could get to the quarterback, they just don't get off of these blocks. Mm-hmm. Like they have some speed, they can get some penetration, but they're not disengaging. And man, not a problem with this guy.
So this one, I think they're just in the nickel, and he's one of the 2 linebackers here. The Eagles are going to run mesh, and earlier in the game, the Eagles ran mesh, and that's how Wilson got his first interception of the year, but they stayed in disciplined coverage again because you can't follow those crossers. You got to stay in your hook shallow curl zones right there. So good job of staying where he should be in zone, and then again the click and close and collapse on the ball carrier.
Yeah, and not jumping it too early. And that's the other thing. You got to stay where you're supposed to be, and you can't get too excited when you see something come in front of you because there's always something behind. Right. There is something behind him, but it keeps moving a little bit farther in there. But yeah, this guy has a real good sense in coverage. It's not just the athleticism. It's also the awareness, the reads he gets to the quarterback, and like you said, click and close there. I mean, what is that? A 4 or 5 yard gain? Who cares? You know what I mean? When you're playing zone, you're going to give up those passes sometimes. But if you can close and you make the tackle, and that guy, as happened in that clip, does not gain a single yard in addition to the catch point, I mean, you're winning with that. So, look, the first three guys we talked about, I think everybody's really familiar with them. We've seen the most of them. I think Logan Wilson hasn't played a ton more really than Hakeem Davis-Gaither, but he's flashed. He's had some interceptions. So we're going to get a little bit deeper into Davis-Gaither here. This is a clip. He actually started this game against the Ravens when they started in a 4-3 defense. He does a great job on the backside here, understanding his fit. He's not outrunning it. All right, he's going to be right here. Shuffle, bam, gets in there. Doesn't finish it, though. All right, so that's the problem is he doesn't make this tackle. The guy bounces right off of him. We get great fits here from the secondary. Right. And Bell actually makes the tackle. I think Covington comes in and helps out as well. So right there, I mean, exactly where he needs to be. Sliding down the line, gets in there, knows exactly where to be. He's just got to finish the play now.
Right, and just like with Wilson a couple of plays ago, keeping the pads square to the line of scrimmage, to the formation, while you're basically sliding towards where the gap is going to open up, to be able to be in position to make that tackle. Of course, you have to make that tackle, but I mean, last year, the Bengals safeties led the team in tackles because there was terrible fits by the linebackers, and the safeties had to just kind of make up for it. This time, great fits by the entire team, and this was a quality stop by I think Von Bell here in the rest of the secondary because of good fits by Davis-Gaither and the linebackers.
Yeah, I mean, this is awesome, and look, if he bounces off the other direction, Jesse Bates is right there too. So right. I mean, that's how you do it. Because I mean, at the end of the day, sometimes guys are going to miss a tackle. Sometimes the guy's going to get blocked. He's going to get, he's going to fall down or something. You got to have that secondary funnel because right now it's what's preventing a good chunk of yards from turning into a whole lot of yards and potentially a touchdown. Is that second level defense there? So yeah, that's a really good job. I mean, I think really this whole defense and the kind of the communication, how everybody's understanding of where they need to be has drastically improved from last year when there were times they were running coverages and, we had groups of us talking about these coverages and saying, what was that? like we couldn't even figure out the rules. I mean, that's not a good sign when so many people are watching film and have no idea what they're trying to do. All right, here's another one for you.
And I think it's important to note that Davis-Gaither for this season has and Logan Wilson, they've both spent the majority of the time on the field either pass rushing or in coverage. So, I mean, Wilson has, as the season's gone on, got more snaps and run defense, but Davis-Gaither's still pretty green in that area, at least from an NFL standpoint. So the plays that we're seeing from him in run defense, it's really just that's where he's been used the least amount because they've been using Bynes and Pratt here. So we're looking at run defense plays, but this is where he's been used the least amount in this season so far. But here we see him just kind of collapsing towards the line. You have guys, staying in their fits. We're going to get a better angle from the tight window here. So he's the Mike linebacker in the middle of the field.
Just real patient with it. Not outrunning it. Understands where he needs to be. They gain a couple on that, but like you said, he hasn't gotten a lot of reps in that type of position. He's not seen a lot of the run fits, and he didn't really play the position in college.
Right.
He was more of an outside. He's like a 3-4 outside linebacker / nickel corner almost kind of guy.
No, but just staying where you need to be, right? Because guys, for so many times they try to shoot gaps, try to guess where it's going to be. If everyone just stays in their gaps and just gets off the block, like they're going to have success. So that was a good job of not only that, but also creating separation between the block and kind of like long arming the blocker there to make sure he's able to get off the block when he needs to.
So he was actually showing blitz here, which they do a lot with these guys. All right, he's up, he's showing blitz. He bails out, and look, he gets to where he needs to be in this coverage. All right, he's like the deep hole player in the coverage. He gets to where he needs to be, but he just doesn't seem to be able to put it together and really read the quarterback and react. You see this a lot with him, where he gets where he needs to be. He just doesn't see what's happening quick enough. That, look, I don't know. This would be a pretty awesome play for him to be able to make this play. But I think if he sees it, he can get under it, and he can at least impact the throw there. So I use this clip because it's over such a large space that I think it makes it a little bit more obvious. But like the touchdown against Cleveland was the same thing.
Right. I think he knows that he has help over the top, and it's almost like he's cheating a little bit because he knows that I think the tight end is sitting down like in the middle of the field where I think Wilson is in coverage there. He almost like stops his feet a little bit. And I think you're right. I think he's just thinking a little bit too much. And if he just stayed where in his zone, he might have had to play on the ball. But he knows he has two safeties over the top there. And I think he just lost a little bit of depth in that coverage.
And this is kind of a quick clip, but he's down here in the bottom. They've got a tight end going right out into the flat. And I just love his speed here. From that alignment, bam, just getting out there. I mean, you see that route is open all the time. From that type of offensive formation, that type of offensive alignment, and just you see the speed. I think there's questions in how he's reading the quarterback right now. He needs to be able to process better, which he's a rookie and he's been playing like 20 reps a game most of the time. So that stuff will come along, but you see the special athletic ability and what that guy could really be.
Right. And that was the difference, because that time he just knew where he needed to be. He just let the instincts take over, and that route concept, like you said, it creates separation towards the flat. So for him to get underneath that and keep with it, that was great work for him.
All right, so that brings us to Khalid Kareem. So we're in day 3 now. We're in the 5th round, and he's getting a little bit more time now with Carlos Dunlap moving on. He's going to be in the bottom of the screen here. You want to take this one? Yeah,
so he's in a 2-point stance in that front. But again, it's not flashy, but it's so important to maintain that edge. If you don't have like a Sam in that specific formation to kind of come down here, like he's responsible for any plays that go outside. So it's a good job of him, showing his fit and showing his color, showing his hat in that gap, and then coming off the block when it went back inside, because that's at that point you got to disengage and turn to the inside and use the tackle's leverage against him and try to make a play on the ball. So good job by the rest of the defense to kind of collapse into that gap, because they're just the field players at that point, but also good job by Kareem returning from the force to a guy who can make a play on the ball.
Yeah, and they play different positions, but this is really the same thing from that first Logan Wilson clip. You're asking the guy to hold the edge, but then he's coming off and he's making a play inside. Wilson came off and made the play outside against Lamar Jackson in that clip. Here he's coming off and making the play inside. So I think that's a great edge. Definitely something that was a big time problem for the Bengals last year, and you're seeing some really good stuff out of him there. All right, so we've got another one here against the Ravens, and look, I really like what he does here, and I'm not sure if this is how they're coaching up this fit, or it's just his role in the defense, or how it works. But this technique is called wrong shouldering. It's not a pure wrong shoulder, just kind of the way it fits up. But basically he's on the edge here. This guy pulling around really wants to kick him out, and he gets inside that guy. So like this is the hole they want, and he takes that thing away, makes it bounce around, and that's going to open that up for the linebacker.
Right.
So I think. You go ahead.
Yeah, I think Bynes' movement off reading that, I think it tells you that Kareem was supposed to kind of shoot that gap because Bynes is filling over the top of him. So it's a good job of him just staying where he needs to be. He doesn't end up making a play on the ball, but he spills it to the outside where the force player in Bynes kind of stops the play. So great job by him.
Yeah, and really taking on a puller like that, that's really good processing. Just kind of being able to understand how the defense works on the fly like that. And again, they want to kick him out there. He's forcing that guy to log him. So yeah, he's getting blocked, but now they're getting out of that. I mean, we say north-south, and people think straight up and down the field, but north-south is really it's wherever they want to go with the route. He's putting that run on a different path. I mean, that's a great job. All right, so where we really need this guy, though, is to get after the quarterback. So you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, so he's, I believe, on the
He's up top.
Up top, against Braden Smith. And I mean, that's decent bend around the edge, but that was kind of his issue in college, is that he didn't really have that athleticism to kind of run the arc and force quarterbacks to step up at the pocket. But again, it's a pressure because he forces Rivers out, but that's the difference between guys like him and maybe the top tier pass rushers who can kind of bend with their hips and bend with their ankles and kind of get under these blocks. So I mean, and I like the long arm too, because he creates space in his rush for ability for maybe like a counter, like a rip to get around that. But I mean, you kind of notice that, like, while he has athleticism as a run defender, he doesn't have that explosion and that flexibility in those hips and ankles to kind of bend around and actually get to the quarterback here.
Yeah, it's really easy to figure out who Carl Lawson is on any pass rush from the Bengals. I mean, just nobody moves like him off the ball.
Right.
And that's a big thing. The way he comes out the ball, just that explosion off the ball. That's not what it is. But can he win? Yeah, absolutely. He's got the length. You mentioned the long arm. That's going to help. He's just got to have some kind of get off instead of just reaching for that at the end. I mean, honestly, right. I felt like Carlos Dunlap was doing a lot of this type of stuff this year, and man, that guy shouldn't be. So like, I mean, hopefully he's picking up some bad habits from Dunlap, and he shakes that now, because yeah, I mean, he's just got to have a better get off move and a plan to come off that block.
Right. And if you don't have that explosion in your arsenal, then you have to be just a technician with your hands, and you have to have quick strides and good placement with your hands to counter some of these punches, because it's not exactly a great rep from the right tackle. So, I mean, he gives him a chance to do something, maybe counter back to the inside if you don't have that explosion to really threaten with the edge. So, I mean, he's young. He's still learning the process and putting together moves, but that's just kind of where he is right now.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think it's similar to Sam Hubbard. Sam Hubbard, not a great athlete. Obviously, they do some stuff with him movement-wise to create opportunities for him, alignment-wise. But, he's got some pretty good moves. He's very, very good with his hands, and that's the way he has to be able to win. And you see it. I mean, like, what do you have, 8.5 sacks last year, Sam Hubbard? And he's pure talent-wise, not a guy that should necessarily be pushing the 10 sack number, but he was able to produce.
Right.
All right, so now we're going to go to Hakeem Adeniji. He is the left tackle. Look, a lot of excitement about this guy because of how unhappy we are with the offensive line. I love him. I was a huge fan of him coming out. Very glad they made this pick. But we're going to see. I mean, he's got a long way to go. Right. Some great physical skills that he has, but a long way to go. So again, he's the left tackle, and just watch his feet on this play. Watch how he moves. I mean, just awesome job with his feet, shuffling, understanding, seeing what's going on in front of him. Now he's too slow to adjust to this loop, and that's a processing thing. It's not an athleticism thing. But, you watch the way he moves for a man of his size, and you see why they drafted him. You see the potential. What are your thoughts here?
The athleticism was the first thing that pops out. Like, he gets out of his stances and enters his set so quickly with such explosion. No matter what set he does, in this case, it's a good job by him to kind of bring that edge back to the inside where hopefully Shaq Calhoun in this example picks him up. But I mean, just a rookie, you don't really expect it from him. But as he, has more reps and whatnot, he has to learn to just kind of get off of that and get back to the edge and to handle the looper and to get in position for that, because that's the whole point. Like that rusher is basically baiting him to kind of veer more towards the inside, and the outside opens up. So great athleticism, but like you said, just a processing issue right now.
Now, the inside move is a big issue for him in this game. And I mean, honestly, we saw that at least the first couple of games, I think, with Jonah Williams a little bit too. So I think that is something that's hard for guys to adjust to. We're going to watch him here, and I mean, he's going to get smoked inside.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yeah, like for most of this game, you pointed it out after in the review. Like there was a lot of jump sets, which basically it means like you're not really going. It's like it's the most aggressive set for an offensive lineman to have. You mainly see it from guards in pass protection. You don't really see it from tackles. And in this case, I think Clowney just recognizes that he's coming after me. He's opening up the inside, and if you don't have the perfect punch, in this case a two-handed punch, you're going to get smoked, and that's exactly what happened here.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a, damned if you do, damned if you don't sort of thing. Because, I think the reason they're doing it is they're trying to get him engaged right away so he doesn't have to gain depth and have that threat, that two-way threat the whole way. They're trying to just get him on there. So I think they really did that to try and help him out. But as you see, he leans a little bit. He gets off balance, and that's what really gets him into trouble here. And, this was a problem for him a few times in this game. It helped when they made a change at left guard, for sure. But, yeah, it was definitely an issue for him.
So here on this rep, we're going to focus on his post step, which is, in his case, his left foot, because it's the one that he's kind of – is the dry foot is your inside foot, and your post step is the outside foot in this case. And this time, he answers that, I think, a 45-degree set, but he notices that there's no one on the edge, so he goes right back inside to I believe what's that? Yeah, it's Clowney playing like a 4-eye in that sense. So he goes off of his set and comes back inside and helps out Spain. It doesn't look like much because it's just a quick throw and doesn't really impact the play, but it's the little nuances of just recognizing post snap and pass protection of where you need to be and where you need to help out.
Yeah, and I think really this footwork shows you that. Again, we talked about his feet, how great his feet are, and he isn't there because he's not processing quite quickly enough, and things are moving a lot faster than they were for him last time he was on the field. So, this shows you, look, he's starting to protect the outside, going to the kick step, that's bailing out, and he's got that balance to really step forward and to post into that guy and come in and take care of that. And I mean, again, just great athleticism, the way he can transition there, work to the outside, come back inside, and make that block.
Go ahead. Just who he is as an athlete, it makes so much sense why the Bengals wanted him, because being 6'4", 305, you can basically play anywhere on the offensive line. He's the ideal athlete that you want at any offensive line position. Like the footwork and the quickness is just so natural for him. When we talk about like Bobby Hart, like we see him, overset in some of his pass sets because maybe he doesn't trust his athleticism. I don't think that's an issue at all with Adeniji. So at least he's got that going for him. But I mean, everything that is rusty with him, it's all upstairs. But the athleticism and I think the handwork for the most part, I think that's in a very good spot for where he is right now.
Yeah, and you're not seeing the pass rushers in the Pac-12 that you're seeing here. So, or excuse me, the Big 12. So we get a down block from him here. Let's look at a little bit of the run game. Down block on the 4 technique here. So you see a little bit of strength and power. That guy doesn't get any kind of movement. He's not going anywhere there.
Mm-hmm. And he turns completely towards the guy, right? But he keeps that balance while engaging him, and he keeps leverage. So I mean, those are so important in terms of just holding your block and making sure that the guy's eliminated from that gap.
And back to the athleticism here. So we've got the jet sweep, and he comes around and he's able to reach this linebacker. You just see the way he gets up to the second level and makes that block. I mean, that guy's out of the play.
It's such a good understanding of leverage too, leveraging where he needs to be to get the guy out, because the initial angle that he took, it was like he was going to get beaten towards the linebacker was going to beat him towards the edge. So for him to adjust his angle of pursuit in the open field to basically seal him off, that matters a lot, because for a lot of the Bengals' struggles in terms of run blocking, it's been guys getting into the second level and eliminating guys and utilizing good angles towards those second level defenders. So a good job by him to eliminate the guy there with a good angle.
Yeah, so I put in the Marcus Bailey slide at the end. Not really enough film of Bailey to look at, but I mean, look, he's a guy that we like quite a bit coming out, who just barely played his senior year because of an injury. So there's some potential there too. Let's kind of go back and talk about these guys a little bit, where they fit within their position groups and within this team. And we'll start here with the linebacker and talk about all these guys at once. Where do you think these three guys fit into the future plans for the Bengals?
I think with Wilson, you have a guy that is just a classic outside linebacker, a guy that can basically be stacked at the edge of a formation and just set an edge for you. With Davis-Gaither, you might be more like that weak side linebacker, a guy that you don't want pressing blockers, and just got a guy that you want at the backside pursuit, but also can drop back into coverage. And we haven't really seen a lot from Bailey, so we don't really know how to project with him. But I think if you have a creative defensive mind that can utilize these guys where they need to be, I think you have guys that just have value in an NFL that is so important on defending the pass and having guys that are fluid and smart into space. And I think it's very obvious that both these guys are athletic enough to play as second level pass defenders. It's just a matter of having for them to develop their instincts and coverage to be where they need to be and to utilize that athleticism. I think for starters, like for how young they are, I think they're on a good pace right now, but it's just all about getting to that next step and utilizing athleticism, which they clearly have. Logan Wilson has 2 interceptions already. He has a pass deflection. He's getting there slowly but surely, and I think with Davis-Gaither, it's just going to take a little bit more time.
Yeah, we should get a good question here. So just to kind of give my take on this, I think as we get into the offseason, we've got Josh Bynes as a free agent. We've got Jordan Evans as a free agent. So I think naturally there's going to be some opportunities for Bailey in the future. I think it's highly likely that they let Bynes walk and that Logan Wilson becomes the guy next to Pratt, with Hakeem maybe having a larger role, but still more of a substitution package type of role. And then maybe Bailey becomes, a guy who's a little bit of a substitution guy, that second substitution guy. And, that brings us to this question. Oh, that's not the one. All right. Got a few more comments while I was talking there. Where do you see Pratt fitting in with all these young linebackers?
It's a great question, because I think right now you want to see more Logan Wilson and probably less Jermaine Pratt on defense right now, because Pratt is just not taking that next step that we wanted to see him from the second year. It's just him and Bynes right now in base, and whenever they have their sub packages and their personnel and obvious passing downs, you're taking Pratt off the field. So there's not a lot of value with him right now in the grand scheme of things. But they still have 2.5 more years of his contract left. So he's going to get opportunities in the future, along with Wilson and Davis-Gaither, if they play the Ravens again and they're going with 3 linebackers in their base. But it just seems like he's getting a little bit phased out, because they just know that he's not as much of a natural athlete in space as Wilson and Davis-Gaither. And it's just not really clicking for him yet, because he was not that much of a linebacker in North Carolina State. He only played like a year at the position. He was a converted safety, so he still has ways to go compared to Logan Wilson, who played 4 years and started for 4 years at linebacker at Wyoming. So he's a little bit further along than Pratt is at this point, and I think we're just kind of seeing that. So it seems like Wilson's kind of jumping Pratt in the depth chart right now, and probably has more opportunities to do something in the future because of it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Like I was talking about with the future of Bynes and everything, but it could be a situation where they're letting Bynes go and they're letting the 3 of them compete and see what what Pratt can come up with, or maybe it is Hakeem. We mentioned he's doing really well at a lot of this box stuff, and he didn't even really play that position in college. So I think he has some huge potential. You see, that's how you got to look at these rookies too. Don't don't get caught up on the mistakes because there's plenty of them, and like there's plenty of mistakes, but you want to see fewer mistakes as time goes along, and you want to see some flashes of why you got them, and then kind of that's starting to level off with time. But we'll see. We'll see where it ends up. Pratt was a little bit rough at the beginning of last year. With more reps, he got better. Like you're saying, he's kind of leveling off. So the good news is they've got a lot of young talent there now. We haven't even seen Marcus Bailey. We'll see what emerges with 4 real young guys at that position moving forward. So let's look, we'll talk Burrow. Is Burrow MVP? He's not the MVP of the league. Is he rookie of the year?
A better argument. He's going to be competing with Justin Herbert for that, and I just feel objectively Herbert is exceeding his expectations a lot better than what Burrow's expectations were, and it was a little bit mixed about where Burrow was going to be this year. A lot of people had him pegged for the clear rookie of the year candidate, and some people thought he was going to struggle behind the Bengals offensive line. And I think he's been somewhere in the middle. But compared to what Herbert's doing in Los Angeles, it's not as consistent on a per play basis, but he has the more splashy, explosive plays, and you kind of see that reflected in like the volume box scores. So I think right now Herbert's probably the favorite, but in terms of who's playing better on a snap per snap basis, it's probably Burrow. And if we're counting that in terms of who should be the rookie of the year, it probably should go Burrow. But if I were to make a prediction right now, it's probably Herbert.
Yeah, I mean, but again, does it matter?
No,
not really. I think Herbert's been very impressive. He's definitely above where a lot of people thought he was going to be. And right now, both of them look like they have very strong futures in the league. So that gets us to Tate, to Higgins.
Yeah.
This is a question about the receiver group. DC AJ Green being re-signed. We talked about in recent weeks, Higgins has been going crazy. Boyd's been awesome all along. Green's had a couple good weeks recently, and obviously Tate was excellent last week. What's AJ Green's future?
Right. I think you're at the point where you want Higgins to be just your X. You want him to do all the things that prime AJ Green did. And if you're talking about what to do with AJ Green, you would like him to just kind of transition into more of a lighter role as maybe the flanker and play more in the slot, and having both him and Tyler Boyd do different things with each other. But I mean, Higgins is your alpha right now. And I mean, Boyd's still amazing as a slot receiver, but Higgins is the vertical threat of this offense. And that probably impacts how you value AJ Green into this offseason. But I mean, in terms of blowing away expectations, Higgins is still 21 years old, and he's competing with guys like Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb, but he's been just as impressive as any of these other rookie receivers in the league. But he's doing everything you want as a guy that is a future number one receiver in this league.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really the last couple of weeks starting to see him as the true number one guy. And I mean, it'd be interesting. I think a lot of us thought that AJ would take a team-friendly deal all along, even before all the injuries, even before all the issues. I wonder, with what we've seen, I wonder how much he's valued in the league right now.
Right.
He hasn't done the ridiculous AJ things, going up for passes, and he's taken the Fitzgerald route. He's pretty much a slot guy. So I don't know where's he fit? Where's that valued? And does what he thinks about himself fit with the reality for the organization? There's a great line, one of the most underrated lines in cinematic history, in my opinion. It's from The Departed. It's Martin Sheen. He says, we deal in deception, but we do not deal in self-deception. So, what does AJ think of himself, and does it fit with what the coaching staff fits with him? I think that's going to be a huge, huge aspect of this.
Right.
Because if he's happy, if he likes how things are, he's getting severely overpaid this year. Maybe that buys a little credit to be a little bit under what he feels his value is next year.
Right. And that's so important because he has always maintained that he wants to stay with the Bengals for the remainder of his career. But he probably thought at this point he would still be the number one and the guy that would be getting number one money. So it's going to be potentially an adjustment for him to reset where he is and the expectations of what his market is. But I think there's still definitely a possibility where the two sides come together in the offseason.
So this isn't directly related, but another question here. We forgot about Renell Wren. Let's just think about the defensive line and the future at that spot. I think a lot of people wanted to get an interior guy this year. Obviously, it would have been helpful because, man, is that defensive interior been through a lot. We got Kareem, as we talked about, in there on the edge. Where do you think he fits in? And does this defensive line need a complete makeover in the offseason?
Maybe not complete, but they definitely need an injection of just athleticism off the edge. With Kareem, it just seems like, if I were to guess right now, Carl Lawson's probably not coming back. He might be just outpricing himself out of Cincinnati. And I think they have a guy in Kareem that's probably going to take over as a starter opposite of Sam Hubbard. And that's in my mind, it's just like two Michael Johnsons essentially at edge. You have guys that can that can hold.
Well, we got to make this Hunt too.
Yeah, Marcus Hunt's back in the picture, right? And who thought Marcus Hunt would be on the team in 2020 and Carlos Dunlap wouldn't? But I think that's probably where they are right now. They need an injection of pass rushing talent off the edge, but I think they have enough bodies in the interior, especially with Wren and Josh Tupou coming back next year. Geno is here until he isn't, and who knows what his future is with the team. And if he's not going to return to the old Geno that we knew, they probably need a pass rusher inside. So I think they have enough bodies to be a competent run defending team, but they're not going to have a lot of success with the current pass rushers that they have.
Yeah, oh man, Hubbard would be a huge loss. You got him and you got Jackson. Ooh, man, yeah, they gotta figure out how to bring those guys back, because losing either one of those guys is going to be huge for this defense. They're really, I think this defense is coming along. I think they're a couple pieces away, but if you lose a big piece like that, man, that's gonna kill you. All right, so then they only really lose the offensive line, and Hakeem Adeniji. We talked about him a little bit. We showed a few more clips with the other guys, because obviously there's a lot of talk about him with the O line and how he played in that first game. What do you think his future could be here?
For the first month, it was when is he going to see the field? Because the right guard position was just in shambles, and that was before Hart kind of took a step forward at right tackle. But they saved him until he had an opportunity at left tackle, and that's the position that he played at Kansas. That's the position that he played in training camp, and that's the position that they saved for him, and for him to finally get on the field. His future obviously isn't, if he wants to start, it can't be at left tackle, because that's Jonah Williams' spot. So maybe in the offseason he gets a shot at right tackle if they're trying to implement competition at that spot, if they keep Bobby Hart. But he's a guy that I think he said he's practiced everywhere on the offensive line except for center. So I think he has a chance at any of those spots, because basically anyone besides left tackle should be open in the offseason. He's definitely going to be in that conversation. Yeah,
I think you're referring to Jim Turner's Zoom call a few weeks ago, and he said, "I haven't gotten him snapping yet, but I will at some point." So trying to get some versatility there. I think it makes sense with a young guy like that. You want him to be comfortable, so they're trying to get him what he's used to, but obviously you need that versatility. He needs to be able to play on the other side of the football. Would be interesting, Michael Jordan, similar to Pratt, was a rookie who I thought improved and showed some promise at the end of last year, but severely leveled off this year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if he can get Adeniji, if he likes being on the left side, if you give him a shot at left guard, then you kind of have that Clint Bowling thing going on, where Jonah goes down. Maybe it's not a swing tackle situation; it's a bump Hakeem out situation.
Right. And again, he has the body type and the athleticism to basically potentially succeed at every single spot. It's remained to be seen if he, the term position versatility gets thrown around a lot, but in my mind, it's only applicable if you're actually decent at multiple positions. You can have the ability to just line up at any spot, but if you're not good at more than one spot, you're not really versatile. So we haven't really seen that from Adeniji yet, but I mean, he has the potential to be so. We just kind of have to see it and wait and see.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see how that comes up, and yeah, he's got some tools, and you see the athleticism. It like you watch that last game tape though, and you see him and you see Fred Johnson, and it's like, why can't I make this one person? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
If he just had Fred Johnson's body and Fred Johnson's strength and could move like Hakeem, holy crap! Like we'd be all set with Fred Adeniji and Jonah Williams. Man, you are set for years at the tackle position.
Right. Like the difference between both of them, because I mean, Johnson played decent. He had some bad reps against the Titans as well, but the difference in just how they enter their sets, like the athleticism is jarring, right? But also the difference in size and how they handle strength and power is also jarring. So it's a good point.
As long as we're on the O-line here, not really about the rookies, but I brought up Jordan. So Quentin Spain or Michael Jordan, like that's the other thing too. Like now we're seeing some flashes out of some of these young guys. To me, like there are people saying start this offensive line against the Steelers, which no. But like the two guys that really you can make a case for would be Fred Johnson. I think you can make a case for him at right tackle, although Hart's been better than we like to admit this year. And Quentin Spain, did not grade out well, but you saw the flashes, and he's a guy that like literally got there on Friday. And you saw the flashes. You saw him do some really, really great things, picking up and helping out. What do you think? Are we going to see any change from the original offensive line?
Neither of us have an ear in the organization, but it just seems like if they don't start Spain, it would disappoint a lot of players. I think he made a tremendous impression. Me and Anthony Cosenza, we talked to Mike Daniels last week. We asked him about Quentin Spain, and he just said like he blew him away for how just aggressive he was and how he just attacked the opportunity that was presented towards him for a guy who came to Cincinnati 36 hours before kickoff on Sunday. So I think he made an impression at a position that has been a weakness for the entire season. It just feels like if they go back to Michael Jordan, it would disappoint a lot of players. And if Mike, actually impresses and improves and plays like the guy towards the end of 2019, then it's going to be fine. But based off of what he's shown so far, it just seems like Spain is the better option there.
Yeah, and it's crazy too because you're talking about like he got there on like Friday, and you hear all these stories about like, oh yeah, we were just like beating him in the huddle. But then it's like Von Bell talking about him. It's like, like look, I've coached defensive backs. I've coached tight ends, which is basically the same thing as coaching an offensive line. Those are like O-linemen and DBs. Those are the guys who don't know each other on the team. They're the last guys to meet. So Spain's already made an impression with some of those guys. That's pretty impressive. Question here. I think I've been – sorry for everybody else. Drake's had some good questions, man. I think I've been skipping some of the rest of you. I apologize for that. But who's been the most impressive rookie so far?
I mean, it's got to be Burrow, right? Just for how he's doing compared to other quarterbacks. Based off like,
and I misread the question. What rookie has surprised you the most? Is what I meant to say.
I think it's probably Higgins because I think we all liked Higgins. But for being so young and, not really sure what his role was going to be this season, for him to elevate into the offense and just kind of phase out John Ross entirely and then just produce like a true number one receiver while this offense has been improving towards a high level in the league, and for him to be largely responsible for that and to have this connection with Burrow, I think he's exceeded expectations a lot further than I think Burrow has, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I don't have really high expectations for rookie receivers. And maybe John Ross did that to me, but you can make a case for that in a lot of places in the league. That those guys have a tough transition. I'd say receiver, tight end are probably two of the hardest ones on the offensive side of the ball. So, yeah, just what he was able to do definitely surprised me. A lot of the comments are about Wilson. I'm impressed. Don't get me wrong. If he was the starter and doing producing at the same level, like maybe I get that. But yeah, the way that Higgins is just taking over the job, and Higgins might be wide receiver 1 right now. Just scheme wise, what you can do with him that you didn't really do with Boyd. Yeah. So I'm gonna go back here very early. I'll be honest with you. Like, I watch college football for fun in the fall.
Yeah, same.
I don't break down film until bowl season. So specific players, I got no idea. I hear there's a tackle in Oregon that's good, but they're not going to be in contention for him, I don't think. So, what do you think is the draft plan for the Bengals next year?
I mean, hopefully they're active in free agency again, because like now that's just a precedent that they've set, and it's not always like they have to fill every need in the draft. Maybe they can do something in free agency. Maybe they go after the offensive line in free agency. Maybe they're just aggressive. They just want to fix it once and for all, and then they focus on defense in the draft. Maybe they wait until the draft to take an offensive tackle in the first round. It's really dependent upon what they decide to address in free agency. Last year or this past year was defense. Maybe this year it's the offensive line. We don't know yet, but one way or the other, like by the time May comes around, they need guys that can compete at least 2 positions along the offensive line that aren't left tackle and center. They need explosive guys that can rush the passer inside and outside. And depending on if they lose William Jackson, they might need a cornerback. So a lot of premium positions that are in need, despite how decent the base, the core of this roster is. There's potential for important positions that are going to be up for grabs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it really stinks because like the Lawson and Jackson thing is huge. How that breaks down. I mean, honestly, you bring back Lawson, I wouldn't mind taking the first round pick on an edge. Because I think they're probably going to be in a spot where you can get a pretty good one. Again, like I'm not a position guy, I'm a player guy, but they're going to be in a position where you could get one. You're probably going to be in a position to get a corner if you need one too. And again, the hope is that we're not redoing things we did last year, and that Trey Waynes is back, and you feel good about Waynes, and you're able to sign Jackson. But I guess you're going to be glad that Waynes is back if you lose Jackson too. So, but yeah, I mean that one of those 2 spots definitely seems like it's going to be the move for me in round 1, because I don't think they're going to be in a spot to take a top tackle. I mean, we'll see what that tackle group looks like and how guys are falling. There were certainly some good ones in the teams this year. But I mean, maybe they like Fred, we haven't played that one out yet. So
it's like if they really liked Fred, I feel like they would have given him an actual shot, and they didn't this year. So
I just love watching the guys celebrate.
True. He's the young guy having fun.
He's so big too that he just takes it, and like there were times when like Myles Garrett would come at him and it would just be like bam, and who can do that? Like if he's not better than Bobby Hart, if he's never better than Bobby Hart, but he can do that, he's better than Bobby Hart, then he's all right. He's like,
all right.
He's a pretty solid average tackle. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Definitely not guard though. I think we've seen enough of that.
Definitely not guard. We have played that one out. Maybe we'll try Hakeem, but I mean they got enough guards now. I mean they're almost 3 deep on the interior line right now with the moves they've made. So we'll see how all that plays out. So we're at about an hour now. So we'll probably cut this thing off. Any final comments? Any final thoughts on the rookie class of 2020?
Yeah, I think obviously most people care about Burrow, and he's playing about as good as any of us could expect him to play. He's got, I think he's had a good chance of finishing the season as good as he started it. He obviously has 2 games against the Steelers left. He's got 1 more game against the Ravens, and he's got a matchup against Tua Tagovailoa in Miami in December. So he's got opportunities to make more statements on his Rookie of the Year campaign, but I'm just excited to see how this connection with him and Higgins develops over the course of the remainder of the season. If Wilson and Davis-Gaither start eating into more snaps of Bynes and Pratt, and even when Sam Hubbard's coming back, how much is Khalid Kareem going to play at edge? They obviously still need him in the rotation, but just to see how these guys' roles kind of develop and evolve over the course of this remaining season, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, they really need Sam back on the inside too, because we're not getting a ton out of Geno right now. To be able to get Sam back to rush the inside would definitely be huge. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the games ahead. To me, I think that Baltimore game is huge. It's the last game of the year. Win or lose, can the offense do anything?
Right.
And I think, the Baltimore has some pretty good coaches. They're going to have some adjustments to what the Bengals were doing defensively. So they should be a little bit more productive on offense. The Bengals need to be much more productive on offense. And I think that was the first game where Burrow was seeing some things he was uncomfortable with and that he was a little bit rattled there. So I think we get a little bit of a look at it against Pittsburgh this week too. But I want to see that game and how he adjusts. I think these division games are huge just to see how he reacts to the type of defenses you're going to see against the Steelers twice and against the Ravens at the end of the year. And I mean, look, it's a stupid thing. It's for the real legitimate future. It's not a tangible thing, but man, you can't get swept in the division.
No,
you can't get swept in the division, and really, you got to figure out how to beat one of these teams and get a quality win in there. Build that confidence. Get ready to go for next year. I mean, look, we're gonna have two shots at the Steelers on national television. With a 4:00 kickoff and a Monday night. I mean, this one might end up being a Tuesday game or something, but we'll see what happens. The NFL will probably give them a day to get Ben on the field or something. That's the way things tend to go for the Steelers. But so like that's obviously national television, national audience was a huge deal for the Bengals in the past. That did not pan out very well, and seeing that Steelers team, look, if Burrow can just shine, and this team can win one of those games, that is huge for the offseason. I mean, like having Burrow already is, but knocking off. I mean, there ain't no right now. Like I don't like the Steelers are 8-0. You can make that kind of statement, and beat that team. Free agents get a little bit cheaper.
That's true. And like the whole message in the offseason was we're going to draft Burrow. We're going to build this thing from the ground up, and we're going to establish a new culture. And a lot of guys bought in. Mm-hmm. Now, like if Bengals fans want Joe Burrow to win the Rookie of the Year so much, make a statement. You're not going to win the Rookie of the Year going 0-6 against the AFC North. I think that's a great point, but it's also a good point of just having guys buy in to year 3 of Zach Taylor again, and for guys that they want to bring in the offseason to make progress against the best division in all of football. There are a lot of statements to be made, and I think Zim brought up a great point in our roundtable discussion last week. If you haven't checked that out, go check that out. Like a lot of these guys, including these rookies, they haven't been here for the past when the Steelers have just continuously beaten up on the Bengals. They don't really care about that. It's a new team. There's new blood. There's a new mentality. They don't care about the history of this rivalry. They want to make a statement of their own. They don't want to be lumped in with past failures of the Marvin Lewis era. It's their time to make a statement, and this is a hell of a statement to potentially make.
Yeah, absolutely. And with all that turnover, with all those young guys, I think that's why we're seeing so many of these young guys like really be leaders. They're coming out. I mean, you got Burrow and Higgins with ridiculous standards for winning. What they're coming out of. Like these guys don't care about that stuff. They're winners. They're from winning programs, and they're ready to move forward. So, all right, we'll cut it off here. But make sure you're coming back. Lots of great programming on the channel this week. I talked with JT O'Sullivan from the QB school earlier today. Go back, check that out. We've got an interview with Ike Taylor tomorrow. That's going to be Anthony talking with Ike Taylor, former cornerback from the Steelers. Definitely check that one out as well. So really pumping out some great content. All of it brought to you by Narragansett all season long. So, if you are 21 or over, grab a Gansett, turn on YouTube, and you got a nice little evening there. So once again, I'm Matt Minich, and this is John Sheeran. Thank you for joining us today.